Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome to my Football Manager 2021 scouting tutorial. Now before we get started, straight off the top, YouTube admin, make sure if you're not subscribed to my channel, you go and do that straight away. Hit thumbs up if you find this useful or in any way good. And if you go into link in the description to all my socials, Twitter, Discord is really good. I really recommend that. And of course, leave your comments as well. Any hints or tips you have, any questions, that's what the comments are for. Now, I wanted to start with the scouting. We're in the scouting tab here. I did want to start just a quick thing to be aware of is the star ratings. Now, two things to point out here. First of all, this guy is only 20% scouted. Don't go and sign a player because initially the scouts say they're really good. Make sure they're getting close to 100% scouted before you do go and sign them. And also, don't get hooked up on star ratings. I think star ratings can be useful. Obviously, you can see we need way more information on this guy. He could be a 2-star player. He could be a 5-star player. So we need this is why we need to get scouting a little bit more. I think that star ratings can be good to gauge the potential of a player. But in terms of their current ability, I don't really put too much faith in that. What you want to do, and of course he's only 20% scouted, we can't see too much of his attributes, but very much go off the attributes as to if it's a player that you want to sign or not. Star ratings can, as I said, be great for judging potential, but beyond that, I don't really see them having too much use. But I thought the best place to start outside of that was to go and have a look here at what is a new feature for this FM, and that is the recruitment meeting. So we'll go and join in this meeting now. And you can see it will start us off with, this is with my HNW Welders save in Northern Ireland. If you go and join that, we're going to try and win the Champions League with this team. So it will be interesting save throughout FM21. But you start off here, you can see everybody is at the meeting. We start with what our club culture, what our goals are. So we need to sign young players and work within a budget, which is pretty much what we need to do. So areas we need to improve. Now, I can tell you that when it comes to this squad, every single position on the field needs to improve. So this is the formation that I have right now set up. And you can see that the areas that have been identified by our Director of Football is advanced playmaker, Mazzella, a ball-playing defender. But to be honest, we're not going to be using ball-playing defenders. Keepers, others. I mean, basically every position on the field needs to be improved, as I said. But for the sake of this, we'll just say let's get started and see what they have to say. So this is for attacking midfielders. You can see the two that we have, not really too much there in either position, to be honest, in terms of a creative midfielder. So what we'll do, well, if you don't, depends if you want to do the meeting or not really, but go and have a look, see what they have. We'll go and scout the players that they recommend. And I always think, with what you're looking for, it doesn't really matter what the position is. The current ability, I'd never think is too much unless you actually really need someone for now. I always think potential ability. Look for someone that's at least 4 stars. That's you're signing for the futures, obviously. So that's we'll focus on finding targets for that role, and then you'll just go through and you'll just do one. Go down the list of players here. If you wanted to add somebody, I don't know if we can do it now because. Oh yeah, there we go there. So you just click on the position on the field, and then you can add that to the meeting, and the process would just repeat itself. So that's the recruitment meeting. Now, one thing you can do as well, which I just wanted to flag up, instead of continuing to scout a player, if they're already a free transfer, what you can do is go offer them a trial. Now, what I don't recommend clicking on this, because what I'll do is I'll offer them a 1 or 2 week trial. It's not usually long enough to get a good look at them. If you go up here to transfer, offer trial, and then just try and get the 4 weeks. You'll get a good look at them. You'll know exactly what it is you're looking to sign. And it saves you the cost and the time of scouting. Just get them in, have a look at them, and see where you go from there. And that can also be particularly useful if it's someone that's outside of the scouting range. It would cost you money to scout. Make them come to you. Just make them come to you. Now, this is the scouting screen, the scouting center here. You can see scouting responsibility. Now, I personally like to just let the chief scout run things, and I can sort of chip in where I want to. If you want to take control, you do that there. You can see now Aussie Villain is currently in charge of things. And you can see here assignments. Now, if you wanted to create assignments, this is how and where you would do that. So you would click on create assignment, and it brings up this screen. Now, there's a number of different ways to do things here. I'll show you all of them. Now, if you're just trying to scout for players here, player type. Now, you can look for any type of player, first team backup, hot prospect, or replacement for. I usually always would scout any, but one thing that is really, really useful is if you have a player that you know is out of contract and you can't keep, or that is coming up for retirement, you can hit replacement for, click on the position on the field. Another good one, of course, if you have a player on loan. So in this case, James McCarthy is on loan for us. And you can scout for that. You would... I don't actually have any scope because I'm a really, really small club. But you could change it to the scope. You basically would just want to do is, the biggest range that you have available to you. If that's worldwide, fantastic. If it's not, then you just as much as you can. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Hit start assignment, and then the scouts will start looking for a replacement for that particular player. And you can do this for any position on the field. It'll bring up all the players that play that position, and you can scout for a replacement for. It's a really, really useful way to scout for players. Now, one other option that you would have here, we'll just go back to any for now. You can see if you can go to any type of player for a position, and then you can sort of the different roles in that position, if you know what I mean. And you can scout the same way there as well. And you can change the tactic as well if you wanted to do it that way as well. So that is that. Now, if another way you can scout is for specific attributes. Now, the way you would do this is just click here. Whatever, if you know that you want a winger. You might do so crossing, dribbling, maybe passing, whatever it is you would want for a winger, and you can do that. You can click the whatever attribute is you want and search that way. Now, the reason I don't like doing that is because, say you want a winger, you want all the attributes at 15. But if they have an attribute that is, so that's sort of equal to or more than, but if they have an attribute, say one of the attributes that are 15 is 14, then they're not going to show up. So I don't like scouting this way, but it is an option that you can do if that's what you choose. As I said, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I think the better way to do it is replacement for or scout for a particular position. Now, if you wanted to scout for a team, this is how you would do that. I always think you always want to scout your next opposition. You can see there. I always just do scouting pool unless there's a particular scout. Maybe you can find a scout that has really good like tactical knowledge. That might be something that's worthwhile doing. But I always just let the scouting pool do it. And that's the way you would scout for your next opposition. And if you have data analysis, which unfortunately I do not, this is where you would do that. I don't have any, as you can see there, any data analysis. I might try and see if a scout can do it for me. I always say try and get the 3 games, get as much information on your upcoming opposition as you can. So that's usually worth doing. We'll create that. And of course, the other way you can scout is on a specific match. I don't ever really see the sense in this. If you want to scout a team, just click on the team, and you can get a team report on the individual team. But it's an option there if you want it. It's not necessarily something that I would use though, and I think that is just about everything. One other, you can see you can scout for a type of, whether it be a free agent or end of contract, a loan or a transfer. Again, doesn't really matter. Now, one other thing, and it's not really the best example here because I can't show you, but if you're a club that has loads and loads of scouts, what would normally happen, and again, it's not the best team I've chosen to do this with, it'll bring up a sort of a list of all the regions of the world. You can go and you can just sort of rotate your scouts going around the regions of the world, just scouting the entire world that way, and it can be useful. If you have, say, 10 scouts, maybe a little bit more. If they scout sort of 2 regions throughout the year, you're going to get around the world every 1 or 2 seasons, and get a really good grasp of the players that are available. So that's another option for scouting. If you just want to generally scout the world just and see what they find rather than just of a specific position. It's always useful to do that. You don't know who's out there until you have a look. So that is that. Now, why are we on Linfield? Because I clicked on Linfield, didn't I? You moron. We want to go back to scouting. All right, so that is that. Player search is not something that I usually use in my games, and it's not really scouting either, but you can obviously search for players using that. Now, assignments here. This is where we were, wasn't it? Now, if you want to... no, it was back here I wanted to show you. You can see here we've got our scouting budget. Small club, I have no budget. If you're a bigger team, you will have a budget there. Now, this is what I want to show you, the scouting packages here. Now, this is how you would scout the world. It's a little bit off center there, isn't it? So this is the scouting package that you would have. Now, you can see the most I can go up to is Northern Ireland. That's because I'm going to have a scouting block, and I'll show you how to increase that in just a second. What you want to do is, I always think you do want to scout as much of the world as possible, but you've got to be aware of a few things. First of all, is obviously the budget. There's no point in me scouting really anything because I can't afford to do it. To be honest, why would I scout players in my own division? I'll play against them. I can see them that way. So I'm better off just saving the money. But one thing you do want to be aware of as well is what players can you sign. If you're a league, now in Europe it's a little bit different because, well, when Brexit in the British League is going to make things a little bit more difficult. But typically you can sign players from Europe there's no worries about work permits or foreign player limits. But if you're in an Asian league or a South American league and you have limits on foreign players, unless you have the money, there's no point really scouting outside of your region or your country, whatever the foreign player defining location is. There's no point spending money on that because you can only sign so many players anyway. Likewise with work permits, there's no point scouting the world as a Northern Irish team, for example, because if they need to play international football to get a work permit, they're not coming to a Northern Irish team. So there's no point me wasting my money on scouting them. So just be aware of what your foreign player limits are, what your work permit limits are. Now, the way you would find that is competitions. You go in here to rules. And if you scroll down here, it will say, where can we find that? Work permit rules. Here we go here. So you can see that this is what they need. So they need to be playing international football, basically. And they need to have played, depending where the nation is ranked, that's the percentage of the games they needed to have played. Those players aren't coming to Northern Ireland. That's just but, if you're playing, say, in England or even Scotland, you probably could attract players like that. And you can see here the appeal bid, the rules that are needed. Typically, the transfer fee and the wage will save you if you have money. But you can see all the things there, and you can see contract renewals. They need to be playing it. You need to be playing them basically as well if you want to keep them. But that is, you're not really going to sign players without wanting them to play anyway. So that is that. And in terms of foreign player limits, is there foreign player limits in this league? That will typically be listed here somewhere as well. Usually there'll be a squad registration, but I've gone blind and I can't see where that is. So I don't think there is. There's limits on loanees, but not really foreign players necessarily. So that's where all that information is anyway. Just be aware of that. Let's go back to the scouting screen. We've showed you assignments. Shortlist is something I always think is worth doing. Now, one thing you want to do is keep scouting reports up to date, so that the players on your shortlist will constantly be getting re-scouted to make sure they're still up to the standard that you want. And if you add them to the shortlist indefinitely, so this is personally what I do. Obviously, you don't have to do that. I'll just remove this guy so I can show you. No, this one here. Add to shortlist indefinitely, and what that means is that he'll be on the shortlist. I'll keep scouting him, and then if he gets to a point where he's no longer good enough for a player I'm interested in, I can just remove him from the shortlist. But in order to make sure that's going to happen, keep scout reports up to date, you need to make sure that you're clicking on that. Now, the other tab here is the knowledge tab. This just basically tells you, what parts of the world that you've scouted. Obviously, Australia is being scouted or well scouted, that region, because of where I'm from. Typically, though, it'll just be around there. And the bigger the club you are, obviously, the more of the world you want to have the knowledge of, because there's more chance you're going to find the players if you are aware of, if you have the big scouting thing. Now, what you can do, if you go and have a look at the staff here and at our recruitment team, now I will warn you, I have absolutely rubbish scouts, but you can see here, he's only really aware of Northern Ireland. If we were to be able to get scouts, and I can't attract scouts because, I'm a semi-professional team in the second tier of Northern Ireland, what you can do is try and get scouts that are already aware of other parts of the world. But the other thing that you can do is where I said back here with the scouting assignments, if you were to be able to click this, it brings up all the locations, and then scouts will become more aware the longer that they scout around the world. So it's not a be-all and end-all of having your scout having to know the world. They will learn it, but obviously there is a benefit to having scouts that are already aware of or have knowledge of that part of the world, because they hit the ground running, sort of thing. You can see here that the attributes that a scout wants. as I said, my scouts are completely rubbish, but that is just kind of par for the course when you're in the lower leagues of a relatively small European league. Now, the other thing I did want to show you, if you go to Club Vision here, if you want to increase your scouting knowledge, we would go to, is it networking? It is, I think it's typically networking, and you would ask to improve your scouting range. If we go to, how do I find that? Is it Club Info? Elevator, hold music, please. All right, I cannot for the life of me find out where it says what the scouting range is. In the comments, somebody who they know, if you know where it is in this particular game, let me know in the comments. But you can ask to expand the scouting range. Maybe I just don't have the option because the team is so small. They don't even want to. They don't even want to give me that option. But you can expand your scouting range as well, and that is that's how you would then get scouts from all over the world and be able to scout more players as well, obviously. But that's it for this particular tutorial. Sorry I couldn't find that last thing for you. I am going to do other tutorials on both contracts and offering of transfer offers as well. So the whole transfer process, I suppose. But I did just want to start with scouting because that is, I think, is it here? Recruitment package? No. There is a way. Anyway, I can't find it for the life of me. But thank you for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed that, if you found that useful, hit thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Check out the Let's Plays. We've got, as I said, this save here with H&W Welders as we try and take a Northern Irish team to Champions League glory. And we're also going to have a save with Sheffield Wednesday as we look to take them to Champions League glory as well. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next time, whether it be for the next tutorial or some Let's Plays. Take care.